Chapter 607. Of course, she knew that he had his eyes on that woman. He didn't want her, the beautiful young lady of the Murong family. Instead, he fell in love with a poor peasant girl who had nothing, and even her looks were mediocre. She couldn't understand. If he hadn't fallen in love with her, she really couldn't understand what other reasons she had to defend him and why he accepted her in the end, including the night when she slept with Jiu Wei. When he found out about it, his expression was indifferent. When she said that she wanted to marry Jiu Wei, his expression was indifferent as well. He was as indifferent as a stranger. The more she thought about it, the more Murong Yun believed Jiu Wei's words. The only thing that could be explained was that, actually, he had never loved her. Even if he had agreed to be with her in the end, it was all her wishful thinking. He was just fooling her like a fool. He just wanted to take revenge for the woman he loved. Murong Yun hugged herself and cried bitterly. Why, Amitabha? Standing in front of a pair of feet, Murong Yun raised her head with tears in her eyes. When she saw a monk in a monk's robe standing in front of her, her eyes sparkling with tears were fixed on him. Many years had passed. The monk in front of her looked familiar, but she could not remember where she had seen him before. Kong Yin bent down and helped her up from the ground. Madam Murong, why are you crying so sadly? This voice, it was also familiar. It was so familiar that Murong Yun forgot to cry for a moment. She looked at him in a daze. Have we met before? Madam Murong, have you forgotten about me? I have helped you in the dark when you were with Brother Qianhe. It's you. Yin Mo. Murong Yun cried out in shock. She covered her mouth in disbelief. No, you. Aren't you dead? You were with he. You. The man named Yin Mo faintly smiled and reached out his hand to his face. With just a light stroke, a piece of fake skin was peeled off his face. This time, Murong Yun completely recognized him, but his face was full of scars. It looked shocking, as if he had been cut by a knife, or burned by a fire. She took a long time to find her voice again. You. How did you? In the fire, Brother Thousand River used all his strength to send me out. I'm very sorry, Madam Murong. Actually, Brother Thousand River should be the one alive, I should be the one who used all my strength to save him, and I should be the one who should die. However, Brother Thousand River's face was burnt by the fire. He thought that his ugly face could not face you, so. Murong Yun never thought that today, 20 years later, she would still be able to hear these. She covered her mouth and couldn't believe it. But the man in front of her was so familiar to her. He was the only friend of who could talk to each other. The relationship between them was deeper than that of her. Yin Mo would never lie to her. Ahi. When Madam Murong married Jiu Wei, Brother Thousand River was disheartened. That's why he wanted to die. But he was so cold that I suspected that he had never loved me. He didn't care that I married you. Madam Murong, don't you understand? Brother Thousand River is a man of the pugilistic world. He lives on the edge of a knife. Compared to your noble birth, Brother Thousand River feels much more inferior. Chapter 608. Madam Murong is famous in the capital. Who wouldn't be moved by Madam Murong's beauty? Moreover, Madam Murong had saved Brother Qianhe's life before. When all the women from the aristocratic families felt a sharp and cold sword on their necks, they were so scared that they turned pale and screamed in fear. Only you, Madam Murong, thought it was fun and chatted with Brother Qianhe. Actually, Madam Murong has been in Brother Qianhe's heart since that first meeting. If Jiu Wei's words made her heart ache so much that she couldn't breathe, then Yin Mo's words almost made her heart stop beating. She almost couldn't believe what she heard. She took a quick step forward and grabbed Yin Mo's collar. What did you say? You said You said that he loves me? He has loved me since the first time he saw me? Amitabha. Madam Murong, it's all because of fate. Then, what's with that woman? That girl from a farmer's family, Brother Qianhe lost his parents when he was born. However, as long as he could remember, he always remembered that he had a younger sister. However, due to some reason, his sister was kidnapped. He had been secretly investigating in Jianghu just to find out the whereabouts of his sister. Sister. She thought about that girl from a farmer's family. Actually, there were some similarities between her and Qianhe. Although she wasn't as handsome as him, she was still a servant from a small family. However, at that time, she was jealous of him. That was why she didn't take a closer look at their similarities. So they were brother and sister, and she killed his sister with her own hands, and he had searched for information about his sister for so many years and finally found her, but she couldn't help but think about what Ji Wei said to her just now. He knew. In fact, he knew from the moment she started doing those things. He knew that she was the one who ordered people to kill his sister's family. It was her. But he didn't hate himself. Madame Murong, haven't you always been curious why Brother Qianhe suddenly accepted you after rejecting you for so long? Why did he accept you after you killed that girl from a farmer's family? Before this, Brother Qianhe had always thought that he was climbing up the social ladder and that he wasn't worthy of Madame Murong. You are the eldest daughter of the high and mighty Murong family, and he is only a Jianghu assassin. His hands are stained with so much blood, and he has so many enemies. Perhaps one day, he will lose his life. If you are by his side, you will only be a burden to him. This is not something he wants to see. But because of your own selfishness, because of your own jealousy, you killed his sister. His selfishness was that if you owed his family a life, you would use the rest of your life to repay it. This kind of self-consolation made him accept you. So, the truth of the matter was this. Then why? Yinmo, tell me honestly, did you already know that the man who slept with me that night was a he, and not Ji Wei? Yinmo didn't deny it. Yes, I do know. But I wanted to say it, but Ji Wei wouldn't give me the chance. You should know that Ji Wei's influence in the capital is unparalleled. Brother Qianhe and I are just some unworthy assassins. If he wanted to get rid of us, all he had to do was accuse us of some crime. Chapter 609. He was the one who killed he. He was the one who killed he. He wasn't an enemy at all. Murong Yun broke down when she found out the truth. Over and over again, the words that she kept repeating in the center of her mouth were all the same. He was the one who killed he. He was killed by Ji Wei. Madame Murong's heart was on Brother Qianhe. How could Ji Wei allow Brother Qianhe to live and let Madame Murong worry about him? At this point, Yinmo let out a long sigh. It's a pity that Brother Qianhe's true feelings were covered up like this. For Madame Murong, Brother Qianhe didn't even care about his own life. Even in death, he was thinking about Madame Murong. The reason why he allowed me to live was to protect Madame Murong. When I escaped, the first thing I did was to find out about Madame Murong. When I found out that Madame Murong had married Ji Wei and was well taken care of by him, I became a monk. I originally wanted to. He paused. Unfortunately, when I heard that the late Empress had been executed, I had no choice but to leave the temple. It looks like I need to tell Madame Murong the truth. Everything Brother Qianhe did was for Madame Murong. For Madame Murong, he was willing to bear all the curses, even if Madame Murong hated him. Murong Yun stumbled backwards. This time, Yinmo did not help her up. Instead, he watched as she fell backwards onto the ground. She looked as if she had lost her soul. Wrong. She had been wrong from the beginning. She had been completely and utterly wrong. She, Murong Yun, was wrong. Madame Murong, no matter how good a relationship is, it cannot withstand scheming. This is a misunderstanding. Once it deepens, it will last for a lifetime. Both parties will have hatred in their hearts and they will be unwilling to accept it. The deeper the love, the deeper the hatred. Lady Murong, now that things have come to this, the promise I made to Brother Qian he can be considered to have been fulfilled. All of you have your own selfish motives and I have chosen to tell you the truth of the past. Just treat it as my own selfish motives and I am feeling indignant for Brother Qian. I have known Brother Qianhe for so many years. No one knows him better than I do. Because of his inferiority complex, it has always been Madame Murong chasing after him. In the eyes of outsiders, it is Brother Qian who has always rejected Madame Murong. In truth, It is because he does not dare to accept Madame Murong's feelings. He's afraid that Madame Murong is just a momentary liking and a momentary curiosity. After all, there are many men who like you, and all of them are outstanding. All of them can give you a stable life that you want. But what Qianhe can give you is to make the world your home. He has a man's pride, but he won't take the initiative to marry into your Murong manor. He is a man with an indomitable spirit. He can fight for you, but he won't compromise. I know. He loves me. Actually, he loves me. He has never betrayed me, never. She recalled how she had killed his own sister out of jealousy. He had searched for her for so many years and asked around for so many years. It must have been very difficult for him. Yet, she did not care. Just because she saw his tender and loving gaze when he looked at the girl from a farmer's family, she mistakenly thought that he had fallen in love with her. Because of her jealousy, she disregarded everything and killed his own sister without asking any questions. If regret was a poison that could penetrate one's intestines, then Murong Yun would have exploded and died a long time ago. Only now did she know how muddle-headed and thorough she had been. She was just like a lunatic and evil person. Chapter 6:10. In this world, there was no one more vicious than her, no one more vicious than her. Yin Mo, I've let Ahi down. I've let Qianhe down. I'm the most vicious woman in this world. I don't deserve Ahi's love. I don't deserve to live in this world. I'm the one who should die. I'm the one who should die. Murong Yun's face was covered in tears. She covered her face in pain. He could have been fine. He could have reunited with his sister. Everyone should have been fine. But, because of her jealousy, because of her mistaken beliefs, because of her hatred, she realized that she had hurt so many people around her, people who cared about her, people who loved her deeply. Now that she thought about it, she had always thought that Jiyu Yuqin was her and Jiyu Wei's child. However, Jiyu Yuqin didn't look like Jiyu Wei at all. Besides, Jiyu Yuqin was a quiet person. Now that she thought about it, she was very similar to her Ahi. Also, her expression, her habitual frown, even when she was bullied, she didn't make a sound. She should have known. She should have known. She should have known that Qianhe was her and his child. She should have known that there was no relationship between her and Jiyu Wei. Why was it that when she found out the truth, it was already too late? It was her. It was all her. She was the one who gave birth to her child. The one who should die was her. It was all her. Madame Murong, you don't have to blame yourself. Actually, you didn't do anything wrong. You were just used by someone else. In this world, what you see may not be true. Speaking of which, Madame Murong is also a pitiful person. Amitabha. The one who should die is not Madame Murong. I believe that if Brother Qianhe and Qianhe saw Madame Murong blaming herself, they would be heartbroken. The one who should die was not her. The one who should die was not her. His words brought Murong Yun back to her senses. She raised her head abruptly and looked at Yin Mo. The man's gaze fell on her. After so many years, he had changed a lot. He was no longer the talkative young man. If he was as cold as a rock, then Enmore was as hot as a fireball. The man she liked was Qianhe. However, during that period of time, their conversations were pathetically few and far between. Most of the time, they were chatting in the northern part of Hainan with Yin Mo. He had helped her come up with many ideas. When she was tired and thought that she could no longer win Qianhe's favor, he was the one who comforted her and told her to persevere. He told her that he was only cold on the outside but warm on the inside. In fact, he still liked her. It was just that he didn't know how to express it. Because of her words, she followed him and continued to chase after him until he accepted her. He was once a handsome and cheerful young man. Now, when he raised his head, she could only see his scarred face. He looked so miserable and pitiful. On his face, there was no longer the smile that he used to have when he talked about wealth with her. There was no longer the smile that he used to put his arms around her shoulders and talk to her when he saw her. As time passed, everything changed. The scenery changed. People changed. Yin Mo, she called out his name softly. It was so soft that when a gust of wind blew, her voice dissipated. The man didn't know if he heard it or not. His eyes fell on her swollen red eyes and then on her pale face. Chapter 6:11. Everyone was changing. They were getting older and were no longer the same as before. However, she was the only one who hadn't changed. She was still as beautiful as ever. Anyone who laid eyes on her would be moved. Madame Murong, remember my words. The one who deserves to die is not you, not Qin and not Brother Qianhe. Yin Mo looked at her deeply and said, "Amitabha her. This old monk will take his leave." Yin Mo. Murong Yun quickly called out to him when she saw him turn to leave. Yin Mo turned to look at her but didn't say a word. "Thank you. Thank you for risking your life to tell me the truth. Thank you for letting me know that in his heart, he has always loved me. He has never betrayed me." It was enough for her to know this. There was nothing else she could ask for. Yin Mo shook his head and said Amitabha again before leaving. The news of Madame Murong killing the Prime Minister spread throughout the capital on the same day. Both the capital and the palace were the first to receive the news. It was said that Madame Murong was agitated and had a big fight with the Prime Minister before running out. However, she returned not long after. She was very different from the way she had cried when she left. Instead, she held the Prime Minister's hand with a docile expression and offered to cook for him. For the past 20 years, Murong Yun's gentle demeanor could be counted on one's fingers. At that time, Jiyu Wei didn't think much of it. He thought that she had thought things through after going out. He knew who truly loved and cherished her in this world. He smiled at Murong Yun with tears in his eyes. After more than 20 years of hard work, he had finally received a reward from the woman he loved. Even if he had to die at that moment, it would have been worth it. However, he didn't expect that she would really kill him. She had put a fatal poison in his food, so that he could experience what it was like to live a life worse than death. Facing despair, Murong Yun looked at him coldly as he crawled on the ground in pain. He wanted to die but couldn't. He could only feel the poison spreading through every corner of his body, devouring, gnawing, and melting. Blood flowed from his 7 orifices. He stared helplessly at the woman who had smiled at him just a moment ago. At this moment, her gaze was filled with undisguised hatred. This was her. Her gaze was filled with hatred, and he didn't dare to look her in the eye. This was a kind of hatred that wanted his life, and she couldn't wait to cut him into 1,000 pieces. Why? Yuna, why? He didn't understand. He really didn't understand. It was clear that everything was going well. It was clear that his Yuna had forgiven him. It was clear that she had personally cooked for him and was willing to bury the hatchet. However, he did not expect that she would actually drug the food. Everyone in the world said that family members could be guarded against, even their own parents could be guarded against, only the person on their pillow. He knew that he had lied to Murong Yun so much that she hated him in her heart. She wanted him to die, but he didn't expect that she would actually kill him. They had been together for so many years, and he had always listened to her. He had never hit or scolded her. She was the center of everything he did. As long as she was happy, he would put in all his effort to do it. He thought that even if he couldn't get anything in return, at least she would be willing to stay by his side. She would be willing to accept his kindness. Chapter 6:12. However, everything that had happened. Now, it seemed like it was all just his wishful thinking. She had never fallen for him, never. Why? Murong Yun's hateful eyes were as red as blood. She suddenly took a big step forward and grabbed the man's collar, glaring at him fiercely. Her beautiful face was distorted by her hatred. You still have the cheek to ask me why? Let me ask you, how did he die? How did Yin Mo die? You lied to me and told me that he was killed by his enemies. By the time you arrived, their bodies had already been burnt to ashes. Jiyu Wei, you lied to me. You lied to me. You lied to me from the very beginning. Since that night, you lied to me and told me that the man who was with me was you. Since Qin was born, you lied to me and told me that it was our child. Since his death, You lied to me and told me that he was killed by his enemies. You lied to me and told me that he didn't love me and that he had never loved me. You said that he was with me just to take revenge on me. Every time she said something, Gu Wei's expression would turn ugly. Gu Wei's expression turned even uglier. In the end, he actually laughed out loud and looked at Murongyun's ferocious face. So, now you know the truth about what happened back then. When she saw that he was no longer trying to defend himself, she admitted it. At that moment, Murongyun seemed to have lost all her strength as she stumbled backward. Although the person she loved was he, she had been with Gu Wei all these years and he had treated her well. She was not a plant, so how could she be heartless? She knew it all. Otherwise, she would not have chosen to marry Gu Wei and bear his child. She believed Yin Mo's words without a doubt. Hence, she did not need to verify it and immediately drugged his food. At the last moment, she even wanted to hear the words of justification from his mouth. Didn't he love her? Wasn't he willing to give up everything for her? Why did he lie to her again and again? Why did he plan all of this at the last moment? Why did he kill the man she loved the most? Why? He was a talent in the capital, the eldest legitimate son of the high and mighty Gu family. Everyone said that he was good at scheming, but in the years that he was with her, he was like a fool. He listened to everything she said. She couldn't feel that he was scheming, because he was too obedient. He was so obedient that she even thought that the people in the capital were exaggerating about him. Now, she finally knew that he had been hiding his plan all along. He was so cruel and merciless. Then, so you knew, enduring the pain in his body, Gu Wei crawled towards her with difficulty, trying to grab her hand. However, he was flung away by the woman. He faintly smiled. He was still infatuated with her. Even if she really killed him, he would not hate her at all. Yuna, I have done so much because I love you too much. I really love you, love you. I have done a lot of wrong things. For you, I did not hesitate to become the enemy of the world. The Gu family cares about the country. Everything we have done is for the sake of the country, for the Gu family to become the emperor. But for you, you said that you don't like the feeling of being tied down, so I betrayed my own family and killed my own family just because you didn't want me to. I have never regretted it. Yuna, I can give you whatever that man gave you. I can give you what he can't give you. For you, I can abandon everything, but can he? Chapter 6:13. I admit that I killed them. I was the one who started the fire. I had a plan. I didn't want them to live. Even if you've already accepted me and are willing to marry me, I still won't allow them to exist. As long as they're alive, this matter will be exposed one day. Only when they're dead, completely dead, will the mouth of the dead be the tightest. I'm the only one who knows about this. All outsiders must die. Only in this way can you stay by my side forever and accompany me forever. You bastard. You bastard. Murongyun's heart ached so much that she couldn't breathe. She suddenly pounced on him and hit him repeatedly. You bastard, do you know that you've ruined everything for me? You've ruined everything for me. You've ruined the man I love the most. You've ruined my daughter. Give them back to me. Give them back to me. Yuna. I'm giving it back to you. I'm making it up to you. I'm trying my best to make it up to you with everything I have. I don't want you. I don't want you. I only want he. I only want Qin. I only want them. For the first time in all these years, Murongyun cried like a child. She had always thought that her tears had dried up after his death. However, when she found out the truth after so many years, she covered her mouth. Her heart ached so much that she almost suffocated and couldn't breathe. She pushed Gu Wei away and ran out. Gu Wei called out to her, but he spat out a mouthful of blood. He clenched his fists and his eyes were filled with tears. The corner of his lips was bitten until it was full of blood. Now that he was about to die, she wouldn't even give him a chance to look at her one last time. A man in white caught his eye. He raised his eyes and looked at the man in front of him. The man was dressed in white and had a cold aura. He was truly an immortal from the ninth heaven, untainted by the mortal world. Any last words? Jiu Mujua looked at him calmly. There was no change in his expression, even though his father was about to die. Yuna killed me. The world will not tolerate it. The Emperor will execute her. Tell His Majesty that I'm willing to die and I don't blame Yun-Er. I only hope that His Majesty can protect Yun-Er's life of glory and splendor for the sake of my Jiyu family's loyalty to the Feng nation for so many years. Cough cough. Every part of his body was in pain. The poison was screaming in his body, but it was far less painful than the pain in his heart. The suffocating pain came from his heart. Sometimes, when a person's pain reached a limit, the other pain was nothing to him. Jiyu Wei was like that. I always thought that as long as I treated her with sincerity, she would accept me sooner or later. A lifetime is long, and I love her. Even if her hair is white, I will still love her. Even if I can die with her hand in the coffin, as long as she says she loves me at the moment of death, I will be satisfied. But in the end, I'm still disappointed. Not only did he not have the chance to spend the rest of his life with her, when he reached middle age, he had to rest in the ground forever. Do you regret it? The man's handsome face was as cold as ice. He asked honestly. No, Jiyu Wei shook his head. No, I don't regret it at all. Ju-er, you don't understand. Truly loving someone means seeing her happy. Seeing her every day, even if it's from afar, is a kind of satisfaction. Chapter 614. Was it really a form of satisfaction just to look at her from afar? The only thing I can't accept is that she found out the truth too early. I haven't held hands with her to the point where my hair is white. But I'm glad that she finally found out the truth. All these years, I've watched her lose the brilliance of her youth and become as cold as ice. I've been asking myself over and over again, have I done anything wrong? Was it right or wrong for me to do so? I'm the one who ruined her. I owe her all this. Now, she's just taking back what she deserves. It's been so many years. I've had her for so many years. Now, it's time to repay her. Ju-er, I've never begged you for anything. So this time, I beg you to help me protect her. I want her to live, to live. Cough cough cough. He coughed so hard that he almost coughed out his internal organs. Jiyu Mujua wasn't his and Yun-Er's child, but he still chose to raise him by his side because he could see that this child was different from the others. The reason why the Jiyu family was able to stand tall until now was mostly because of him. He gave the Jiyu family unprecedented help and glory. But the man only looked at him coldly, didn't agree to his request, and didn't say a word. Jiyu Wei didn't know if he had agreed to it or not. In the end, he closed his eyes unwillingly until there was no more breath. On the day of the incident, Murong Yun was taken into custody by Feng Jiuqing. 3 days later, even Jiyu Yuyin was removed from her position as empress and imprisoned in the cold palace. Standing outside the Jiayong Palace and looking at the quiet palace, there would be eunuchs and maids who would come to clean the place when the time was up. When they were done, they would fight to be the first to leave. Rumor had it that everything in the palace was the source of their greatest fear and panic. After her rebirth, she only wanted revenge. But after so many things, the truth gradually surfaced. Before she could do anything, the Jiyu family had already dug their own grave. Her hand fell on the wooden pillar of the palace, and it felt cold to the touch. 3 days later, Murong Yun would be executed at the Meridian Gate. The Jiyu family was once glorious and prosperous, and everyone in the capital city would be terrified and respect them from the bottom of their hearts. Now, the Jiyu family was in a state of disunity. No, it might not be a plate of loose sand. After Jiyu Wei passed away, Jiyu Mujua took over the position of prime minister and became the youngest prime minister in the history of the imperial court. Murong Yun, mother, until the back of the waist, was wrapped around by the man. Shen Yueji didn't need to turn her head to know who it was. Isn't His Majesty handling the affairs of the court in the imperial study? Why are you here? I heard from Jiao Dezhong that you were disobedient and ran around. I was worried, so I came to take a look. The man buried his head in her neck and smelled the fragrance on her body. He smiled slightly. Yu Ji, 3 months later, Zhen will confer you the title of empress, okay? Shun Yueji's face was calm and her expression was indifferent, without a trace of happiness. Instead, she turned around and looked at the emperor's handsome and affectionate face. Your Majesty, 3 days from now, Lady Murong will be beheaded at the Meridian Gate. This concubine wishes to see it. The man frowned, but quickly agreed. All right, the palace is indeed boring. If you want to go, I will go with you. Your Majesty, the Empress didn't do anything wrong. If it's just because. Chapter 6:15. She abused her power in the harem and killed so many innocent maids and servants. Isn't that a big mistake? The Empress should be tolerant and kind. Yueji, she is wrong. Your Majesty, have you ever liked the Empress? Why do you ask? I am afraid that I will do something that will make the Emperor angry in the future. At that time, the Emperor will be tired of me. The man smiled and stroked her plain face. Don't think too much. You are different from them. I really like you. At noon, Feng Joqing left after having lunch. Jiyu Jiasheng was such a big thing. Even if Jiyu Mujue had taken over, there were still many things that needed to be arranged. In addition, according to Feng Joqing's selfishness, Jiyu family did not lose much because of Jiyu Wei's death. Naturally, Feng Joqing did not want to see this. After Feng Joqing left, Shen Yueji sat on the beauty chair and thought about many things. Finally, she looked at the roof. Hong Fui, are you there? The man was lying on the roof and basking in the sun. After hearing her words, he was not in a hurry to come down. Instead, he said lazily, of course. I was sent by that guy to protect you all day. Can I leave for a while? What's the matter? Say it. You are good at Qinggong. Take me out of the palace. Out of the palace? The man came down from the roof this time. His beautiful phoenix eyes stared at her without blinking. Why do you want to go out of the palace? I want to see Murong Yun. The executioner was Jiyu Mujue, so Murong Yun was also imprisoned by Jiyu Mujue. If she wanted to see her, she could only go out of the palace. The man felt strange and looked at her up and down. I said, Murong Yun is going to be executed. It's none of your business. Why do you want to see her? Besides, aren't your Shen family and Jiyu family enemies? Why? He seemed to have thought of something all of a sudden, and laughed abruptly. You want to gloat at this time? I say, why is a woman's heart so evil and naughty? Mo Wushang's eyes are good, right? He actually likes a woman like you. Listening to his nonsense, Shen Yueji stared at him with dissatisfaction. I said I want to go to Jiyu family to see Murong Yun. Are you going to help me? If you don't help me, I'll find someone else. Help, help, help. With that tone of yours, do you think I would dare to not help you? But before I help you, I have to remind you that now is not the time. Why? Before that, don't you plan to go to the cold palace and see what the Empress looks like? Shen Yueji smiled coldly. Huh? Compared to Murong Yun, she is not comparable at all. Rather than letting me see her reaction, I might as well see Murong Yun. She knew Jiyu Yuyin too well. If she was unhappy, she would either smash it or vent. She ignored everything and acted like a shrew. Now that she had been crippled and the empress of a country had been reduced to an abandoned concubine, those palace maids and eunuchs who had been tortured and treated cruelly by her would probably take this opportunity to step on her. However, she quickly erased such thoughts from her mind. It was as if she had almost forgotten that she still had Yu Ying by her side. As long as Yu Ying was around, let alone in the cold palace, she would not be bullied or humiliated. Her 3 meals a day were still a combination of meat and vegetables, and the food would not be too bad. Is that so? The man smiled mysteriously. His handsome and coquettish face was very good-looking and radiant. The Empress has gone crazy. When a madman goes crazy, he can do anything. Chapter 6:16. What's more, she has a capable assistant like Yu Yin by her side. Moreover, she no longer cares about the position of Empress. Right now, she is focused on revenge and going crazy. It's hard to guarantee that she won't instigate Yu Yin to do more excessive things in the cold palace. Of course, most of these excessive things will probably include you, imperial concubine Shen. According to Gu Yuerin's character, she could indeed do it. Just like how she was now crippled, when she was still the empress, no matter how crazy her actions were, she would still have some scruples. But now it was different. She was no longer the empress. Feng Jiuqing gave her everything and also destroyed everything. Her last bit of patience had completely collapsed. In addition, Murong Yun would be executed in 3 days. Even Jiu Wei was already dead, which made her feel that there was no longer any threat. She was now a lunatic. No one knew that Yu Yin was by her side. No matter if it was her or the women in the harem, no one would suspect her. After all, she was no longer the empress of a country, and the Jiu family was no longer willing to give her any help. This could be seen from Jiu Mujue. When she was crippled, he didn't stand up to plead for her. And because Jiu Yuyin couldn't take this blow, she only needed to pretend to be crazy in the cold palace. Who would know what she was doing behind her back? She was afraid that even Feng Jiuqing, a man who thought he was very smart, would not suspect her. Thinking of this, Shen Yueji looked at the man in front of her. Have you fought with Yu Yin before? Are you his opponent? The man sneered. Shen Yueji frowned. I'm asking you a question. What are you laughing at? Although I haven't fought with this man, I can feel that compared to those women from the Shenming sect who are highly skilled in martial arts, this, Yu Yin is very likely to be able to compete with that woman. His martial arts are so powerful. Shen Yueji already knew that Yu Yin's martial arts were very strong and that he rarely had opponents. Just from the fact that he could come and go freely in the harem and the imperial study, what kind of place was the imperial study? That was the place where the emperors had always worked. There had always been many imperial secret guards guarding it in the dark. Their martial arts were top-notch, and they were ranked highly in the imperial palace. Yet Yu Yin was able to do so without expending any effort, and without being discovered by those secret guards in the imperial study, he was able to do so many things without anyone noticing. At that time, Shen Yueji was somewhat surprised and astonished that his martial arts had reached another level. However, he didn't expect Hong Fui to say that his martial arts could compete with the woman from the Shenming sect. She remembered that when she saved Yu Ying many years ago, he wasn't that old, right? He was the same as her, at most a few years older than her. It was just a few years difference, and he was just a child, so how could his martial arts be so high? Moreover, he had followed Jiu Yuyin for many years and worked for her. Jiu Yuyin wouldn't find a special master to teach him martial arts, right? According to what she had seen with her own eyes, Jiu Yuyin had never found anyone to teach him martial arts, so all these years, he had been learning by himself? Or was it that he had been very good at martial arts since he was very young? Chapter 617. But this made Shen Yueji even more confused. If his martial arts were strong since he was young, then how did he get injured? And his injuries were so serious. Since his martial arts were strong, there shouldn't be many opponents in the pugilistic world. How was it possible? What was Yu Yin's background? What was his identity? How is his martial arts so powerful? You ask me, but who should I ask? You should know that he's from the Feng Nation, not the North Sea. Where can I find an answer for you? Hong Fui couldn't help but roll his eyes at her. Thinking of this, Shen Yueji looked at him suspiciously. Since you haven't fought with Yu Yin, how do you know that his martial arts are comparable to that woman from Shenming sect? I can estimate. Let me tell you, in this world, most of the things that I estimate are true. There are very few that are false. But Shenming sect and Yu Yin have nothing to do with each other. Why are you mentioning them? Hong Fui was speechless. Maybe her words had enlightened him. The man scratched his head. That's true. But haven't you been very close with that woman from Huiyang Palace recently? If Yu Yin wants to do something to you, Huiyang Palace won't ignore it, right? Seeing her silence, the man sneered. I told you long ago that the woman from Huiyang Palace is not simple. She must have something important to hide from you. Since you don't believe me, just wait and see. Sooner or later, you will know her true colors. No matter what Ru'er is hiding from me, as long as I know she won't hurt me, that's enough. Hong Fui was speechless. This really didn't make sense. Ruo. If that bastard Mo Wushang were to find out about such an intimate form of address, would he still want to live? However, even if there is movement in the Cold Palace and Jiu Yuyin wants to kill me, she isn't in a hurry. She won't disturb me from leaving the palace to see Murong Yun. Are you willing to help me? Hong Fui smiled coldly. You've already said that. Do you think I would dare to reject you? Perhaps when Mo Wushang returned, she would add fuel to the fire and say how much he had mistreated her. This woman. He knew her best. Right now? En. Let's go now while Feng Joqing isn't here. Let's wait for him to finish his business in the imperial court. We should be back by then. All right. Speaking of which, Mo Wushang has been gone for so long, don't you miss him? Why do I see you acting like nothing has happened all the time? He can even flirt with His Majesty. Are you planning to make him a cuckold? In midair, Shen Yueji almost spat out a mouthful of blood at the man's sudden words. She glared at him fiercely. Are you trying to find something to say? The man touched his nose awkwardly. I'm just curious. Why are you so agitated? You're always acting as if nothing has happened. I'm just thinking that guy is probably going crazy after being away from you for so long. If he finds out that you've been away from him for so long without any reaction, I wonder what his expression will be like. Thinking of this, he could not help but laugh. It was really interesting to think about it. He liked two women, but in the end, these two women did not have any feelings for him. If this was in the North Sea, wouldn't that woman go crazy with jealousy? Get lost now. She was so scared that she rolled off the bed. She couldn't care less about her demeanor anymore. The man gave her a bone-chilling feeling. It was as if she would lose her life if she was a step too late. As for the man, after she left, his deep eyes fell on the red curtain. It seemed that there was still a woman's scent there, which made him subconsciously feel disgusted. His dark eyes were dark and sharp. He brushed the loose robe on his body and walked out of his bedroom without looking back. At this moment, Empress Dowager Rong was eating grapes in her bedroom. She peeled the grapes one by one and put them into her mouth. She was almost 50 years old, but she still seemed to be in a good mood. Her face didn't have many wrinkles because of the changes of time. She looked like a young girl in her 20s. I've said it before, don't force me to give you women. Including the one today, count it yourself. How many times has it been? Seeing that Rong was really counting with his fingers, his handsome face couldn't help darkening. Obviously, Rong did not have enough fingers, so he took Nanny Zhu's hand and continued to count. In the end, it was still not enough. Enough. The man scolded in a low voice. Rong was shocked and quickly sat down properly. How many times have I said not to do it again? Does Empress Dowager have a bad memory? Rong curled her lips in grievance. Shonga, I'm just thinking about you. Look, you're not young anymore. Chapter 620. Other people at your age already have a nest of children. Plus, you are the emperor. Shouldn't you have a son to inherit the throne as soon as possible? Otherwise, if something happens to you, the successor. Oh. Seeing the man's cold stare, she immediately changed her words. Mother is not young anymore. She wants to have a grandson a long time ago. You know that your father passed away early. In this harem, there is no one who can talk to mother. Mother is very lonely. But if there is a child, it will be different. He can come and talk to mother every day. That way, mother can live a few more years. Don't you think so? I said that I already have someone in my heart. I know. Aren't you in love with that person in Feng Country? Oh, the Empress of Feng Country's emperor. But she is already dead. Dead people are dead. Shonga, you are still alive. You have to plan for your future, if she is not dead. Oh. Rong had the urge to touch his forehead. But looking at his cold face, she resisted the urge. She looked at her son with heartache. Look at how infatuated her son was with that woman. He even said that the woman was not dead. Just like when her husband passed away a few days ago, she always felt that he was not dead. Unfortunately, he was already dead. Sigh, when the time is right, I will bring the eldest daughter of the Shen family to the North Underworld. At that time, she will be the empress of the North Underworld. She will be the only woman in the harem. Those women will be taken out the way the Empress Dowager brought them in, so as to avoid falling out with the officials in the court. Empress Dowager knows that I do not like to be sloppy. His words did not anger Rongan. Instead, her face lit up. Her eyes were sparkling, as if she had seen a rare treasure. What? Son, you have your eyes on another one? The eldest daughter of the Shen family? Oh, I know. She is the eldest daughter of the Shen family. I heard about her once when I secretly went to Feng country. I heard that the eldest daughter of the Shen family is very beautiful. She is one of the top 10 beauties in the capital. If she dares to rank first, no one dares to rank second. Even the one you liked before cannot compare to her. Mo Wushang didn't say anything. Instead, he took a sip of tea. This sip of tea made Rongan's eyes widen again. She hurriedly ordered Nanny Zhu to get the antidote. Son, since you have a woman who likes you, you must control your legs when it comes to your future daughter-in-law. I can't instigate you to do bad things. I just put something in the water. You should take the antidote quickly, in case you see a beauty later. Rongan's eyes widened when he saw the antidote. Seeing that the man's handsome face was extremely dark. Rongan would be lying if he said he was not afraid. She could not help but shrink her neck and mumble, I told you it's for your own good. Look, if you had admitted that you had a woman you liked earlier, Mother wouldn't have spent so much effort to find you a woman, right? Back then, when you liked the Empress of the Emperor of Feng country, Mother gave you a lot of advice behind the scenes. The only thing she didn't do was to encourage you to snatch her away. You were the one who didn't want to do it, and then, Rongan was afraid that if he made him angry, he would not care about anything. After all, this was her son, not her man. She could do whatever she wanted, and if she displeased him even the slightest bit, she would immediately fall out with him. Chapter 621. She saw that the man's expression softened after taking the antidote. She covered her lips awkwardly and coughed. Shong it's not one-sided love this time, right? Cough, cough, cough. I know. I don't want to poke your sore spot. You are my son after all. I only have you. Moreover, my son is so outstanding. She's now the imperial concubine of the Feng country's emperor. What? Rongan's eyes widened. Why did the Feng country's emperor beat her to it again? I say, why are you so slow? Just based on this, you can't compare to your late father. Mo Wushang looked up coldly and glanced at her. But she likes me. Oh, I see. Rongan instantly smiled and squinted his eyes. That's good. Hello, Xin Yu. Nothing can compare to two people's wishes. What are you thinking? When are you going to snatch her? You should know that it's not strange for two emperors to go to war over a woman. When your father was still alive, didn't he destroy 3 countries for your mother? Speaking up to this point, Rongan couldn't help but touch his face. His old face was bright red, and he looked like a 17-year-old girl. Although the Feng country is on par with the North Underworld, I still support you in abandoning the people in order to snatch your wife. Granny Zhu was speechless. Hopefully, the people of the Feng country couldn't hear these words. I'll wait for her. Is it because I'm shy and embarrassed? Son, put more strength into it, okay? Why don't you discuss this with the Feng country's emperor after you go back? Ask him what he wants. As long as he's willing to send his imperial concubine over, we'll agree to whatever he wants. The man raised his eyebrows lightly. You're in a hurry to chase me away this time? What could be more important than getting married? Don't worry, your mother can deal with those small shrimps in the imperial court. What are those things? They aren't even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Right now, the most important thing for you to do is to hurry back and snatch your wife over. Then, Ask your wife what she thinks and praise your mother more. Tell her not to be afraid. What about marrying far away? Your mother is someone who has experienced it all. I will definitely treat her well and treat her as my own daughter. She said a lot, but the man sat there motionless. Emperor, what's wrong with you? Did Imperial Mother say something wrong? It's useless for me to go back now. She won't come back with me. When will she? The woman threw a plate of grapes at him. The man's expression changed as he tilted his head slightly, dodging the fatal blow. Roman's face changed immediately. He glared at her fiercely. Won't come back with you? Did you do something to make her unhappy? Or did you do something wrong to her? Beiming Shong, I'm warning you. Pitui, I'm warning you. If you make my future daughter-in-law leave in anger, I won't let you off. She has a grudge to take. Before she finishes her revenge, she won't come back with me. I don't want to force her. Revenge? Roman's eyes lit up. Since it's revenge, it's time for you to do it. Don't you know that women need men's help now? You came all the way here. Roman was angry when he mentioned this. How could he get a wife like this? Chapter 622. She doesn't want me to meddle in her affairs, so she chased me back. Yes. Hearing this, Roman stroked the non-existent beard on his chin calmly. It's good to have such a daughter-in-law. She's self-reliant and doesn't rely on others, even her own man. No wonder she's my daughter-in-law. Where? Will she be in danger if you leave her alone in Foam Country? No, the Shen family will protect her. I left Ji Chu and Hong Fui there. Then, there won't be a problem. Ji Chu and Hong Fui, those two brats, have high martial arts. As your wife, I can do whatever I want in Foam Nation. Speaking of this, she rubbed her hands excitedly. I really want to see my future daughter-in-law soon. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Shong, what does your little daughter-in-law like? Do you like accessories? When your father was still alive, he gave me a lot of priceless family treasures. I plan to give them all to her. Do you think she will like them? Sigh, if she doesn't like being the empress, then let her be the empress. Anyway, your father told us when he passed away that we can play with Foam Country. If it's destroyed in the end, then let me take the priceless treasures he gave me and run. I promise I won't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of my life. It's better than living in the palace. Nanny Zhu was speechless. She had served the Empress Dowager for so many years, so she was very clear about the Empress Dowager's personality. Really? So, she's used to it, she's really used to it, she kept persuading herself in her heart. She's used to it. Obviously, Mo Wushang didn't want to talk to her anymore. I'll deal with the matters in the court first. Son, I'll take care of the matters in the court. Don't worry. Accompany your daughter-in-law first. Nothing is more important than a daughter-in-law. Roman stopped him. Hearing this, Mo Wushang glanced at her lazily. Forget it. Since the Empress Dowager asked me to come back, I have to do something for her. Otherwise, she'll think that I don't love you as much as my father. Nanny Zhu. Yes. You have been serving the Empress Dowager for a long time. Do you know how to deal with the women in the harem? This Nanny Zhu was in a dilemma. To be honest, she was indeed an old person in the palace. In addition, she had served the Empress Dowager for so many years. It could be said that for more than 40 years, from her youth to the present, not to mention her loyalty, even the concubines in the palace didn't dare to make a noise in front of her. When they saw her, who didn't respectfully call her Nanny Zhu? But after all, she was just a nanny. The status and background of the imperial concubines in the harem were not something that a servant like her could surpass. For the sake of my future daughter-in-law, I can give up on the other daughters-in-law in the harem. However, some of the concubines can be dismissed. For example, Imperial Concubine Pang. My son, her father is the current Grand Preceptor of the Imperial Court. This has to be done slowly. If I directly kick her out, wouldn't I be forcing the Grand Preceptor to rebel? All along, Grand Preceptor Pang has been loyal to our Dark North Kingdom. Even before your father died, He specifically told us that only Grand Preceptor Pang could be entrusted to us. We can't make Grand Preceptor Pang look too bad. Mo Wushang didn't say anything. Before Jia comes, I hope to give her a peaceful harem. Chapter 623. Empress Mother knows, but it can't be too peaceful. She suddenly chuckled. You know, son. The youngest daughter of the Shen family has just come to our Beiming kingdom. She must be not used to everything. She must have someone to talk to, right? Imperial concubine Pang likes you so much. When she comes, these sisters in the harem will fight to curry favor with her. In any case, you and Ijia are on the side of this future daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law. No matter what she does, we will just turn a blind eye and let her abuse away the concubines in the harem that we can't deal with. Isn't the daughter of the Shen family arrogant and domineering since she was young? She is definitely not a person who likes to be taken advantage of. If what she said at the beginning was somewhat reasonable, then her smile at the end was full of calculation. It undoubtedly made the man frown. He knew a little about this mother. She was just annoyed by being locked up in the palace all these years and wanted to find some fun. Shin Yueji was undoubtedly not her fun. Then as you wish. Perhaps he cared more about Shin Yueji than he thought. The man's temper became better and he was no longer as cold as before. After saying this, he stood up. I will deal with the affairs in the court first. Mother, please take care of the women in the harem. I will take my leave. Hurry up and go. Hurry up and finish the affairs in the court. Then go to Foam Country and bring my daughter-in-law over. Thinking that her stubborn son was finally enlightened, Roman couldn't control his excitement. What did this mean? It meant that she would soon have a grandson. A grandson. After thinking about it for so many years, she almost thought that she had no chance with a grandson in this life. She never thought that she would get such good news after tricking her son back. Empress Dowager seems to be very happy today. Seeing her happy expression, Mermaju couldn't help but feel happy for her. Happy, of course, I am happy. Ronan smiled happily. My son, who doesn't like women, is enlightened. He no longer cares about the late Empress of Foam Country. He starts his own life again and has a woman he likes. Of course, I'm happy for him, but there's one thing I don't understand. She slowly furrowed her brows. Say, our Dark North Kingdom has many beauties, especially those in the harem. Back then, when I chose for him, which one of them wasn't devastatingly beautiful? But in the end, he didn't like any of them. The two women he liked were both from the Foam Nation. Are the beauties of the Foam Nation prettier than the beauties of the North Sea? Why did he have to go so far away? He didn't like the beauties in his own country and went to like foreign ones. Granny Zhu coughed awkwardly. Maybe the women of the Foam Kingdom are different from the women of the North Underworld. This was not a very good explanation, but an explanation was better than no explanation at all. Roman hesitated and reluctantly accepted her explanation. At the moment, he could only understand it this way. As for the beauties in the harem, pass on my orders. As long as the concubines are third-rank and below officials in the court, you can allow them to leave the palace and marry someone else. In the court, your father's position will be promoted by one position. This is to comfort them. Yes, Empress Dowager. Chapter 624. What? His Majesty is back. Pyongyang Palace. The girl's bright and beautiful face seemed to gather all the beauty in the world. She was sitting in front of the dressing table, and her beautiful little face was full of worry. Her brother, the emperor, had not returned for a long time since he left the palace. It was difficult for her to see him in a year. She sighed. Caught off guard, she heard the news the eunuchs had gathered from the emperor's bedroom. Joy immediately appeared on her face. It wasn't hard for her to not give up all these years. Year after year, day after day, she had the servants in the bedroom keep tabs on her brother's every move in the emperor's bedroom. She was worried that he would come back suddenly and secretly leave without telling her. She was so excited that her eyes were about to overflow with tears. She stood up from her seat happily. Great, Great, my brother is finally back. Take me to see him. I want to see my brother. Xiao, do you think my dress is suitable? Will my brother be satisfied when he sees it? The maid named Xiao covered her mouth and smiled. Your Highness is a great beauty in the northern underworld. If you dare to be second, who dares to be first? Not to mention this gorgeous tassel dress, even if you wear a piece of cloth, you will be incomparably beautiful. Bad girl, you only know how to say these pleasing words to please me. Pang Yuan looked at her coquettishly. She was full of joy. It had been more than a year since she and her brother, the Emperor, had seen each other. During this time, she had grown a lot. Her beautiful face was even more attractive than before. She believed that if her brother, the Emperor, saw her, Your Highness, there is one thing that I think you need to be mentally prepared for. Seeing her full of joy, Xiao naturally could not bear to see her sad. After all, she had seen her concubine's feelings for the Emperor for so many years. Xiao had some difficulties that were difficult to say, but after all, it was related to the concubine's future. What's wrong? Why are you so hesitant? What's wrong? It's nothing. If there's anything, just say it. Why are you hesitating like this? There's news from Rongan Palace. It's said that His Majesty has found a woman he likes this time. His words were like a bolt of lightning. The matter regarding the former Empress of the Foam Kingdom had always been a knot in Pang Yuan's heart. Even though she was in the Imperial Palace in the Dark North Kingdom, she had more or less heard about the matters between her brother, the Emperor, and the former Empress of the Foam Kingdom. She also knew how much her brother, the Emperor, had tortured himself for that woman. Moreover, when she heard all this, she could not believe it at all. She could not believe that her big brother, the Emperor, would really become like this because of a woman. After all, her big brother, the Emperor, was so aloof and above the common people. Who is that woman? After a long time, she finally found her voice, but her voice was hoarse, and her face was pitiful. Even her eyes were filled with tears. She believed that her beauty was top-notch, and there were few women in this world who could compare to her. Why was it that Brother Emperor could like other people, but why was he unwilling to even look at her? Was it because she wasn't outstanding enough, or was it because she didn't love him enough to listen to him? Chapter 625. No matter what he said or did, she would be the first to agree with him. Even if there was any conflict between him and the Empress Dowager, she would side with him. I heard it's the pearl of the Shen family, Shen Yueji. Shen Yueji? Pang Yuan was shocked. She knew this woman had pestered her brother a lot when he was in the Foam country. Pang Yuan didn't have a good impression of her. But doesn't Brother Emperor hate her the most? He even wanted to kill her many times. Why? Who knows? Xiao also looked puzzled. In any case, that's what Xian Palace said. Your ladyship, could it be that this Shen family's daughter is too shameless? She kept pestering the Emperor, so the Emperor was forced to agree to marry her? Or, suddenly, she narrowed her eyes. Your Highness, the Foam country's Shen family's position in the capital city is unshakable. Furthermore, even the Foam country's Emperor is wary of them. Do you think the Emperor is doing this for the country? Xiao words made sense. Pang Yuan's tear-stained face immediately brightened up. This consort also feels that your analysis is reasonable. In other words, older brother Emperor didn't marry her because he liked her. But what? I heard from the servants in Rongan Palace that His Majesty wants to abolish the harem for the eldest daughter of the Shen family. He wants to drive all the women out of the harem and make Shen Yueji the empress. What? Pang Yuan couldn't stay calm anymore. She locked her eyes on Xiao. What did you say? Brother Emperor wants to make that bitch the empress? Why? Her father was the imperial tutor, and Brother Emperor respected her father. She was just an imperial concubine after entering the palace. Why should that woman who was used be the empress? The more she thought about it, the angrier and more hateful she became. When she recalled how that woman pestered her brother Emperor, she felt like there was a hole in her heart that couldn't be vented. Xiao, come with me to the imperial study. I want to see Brother Emperor. I want to ask him face to face. Your Highness, don't be angry. Perhaps there is still a chance. The Empress Dowager only said to abolish the titles of concubines below third rank in the court, but not those above third rank. Perhaps the Emperor feels that having too many concubines is a hindrance to the country. This is also a good thing for your Highness. This way, the Emperor will be able to favor you alone. Really? Pang Yuan was dubious, but Xiao Er's next words made her a little more delighted. That was right. Her brother the Emperor had abolished the harem, leaving only the third rank and above, and she was a first-rank imperial concubine. This way, there would be fewer women in the harem. After all, no woman would allow the man she liked to have so many women around him. Thinking this through, her face no longer looked so ugly. She smoothed the hair on the back of her head and said, "Since Brother Emperor has returned, he must not have eaten yet. He must be exhausted after traveling for so long. Xiao Er, quickly go to the imperial kitchen and instruct the servants there to prepare more of Brother Emperor's favorite dishes. When we arrive later, we will send them to Brother Emperor." Xiao Er had a teasing look on her face. She playfully stuck out her tongue at her. "I know, Imperial Consort. If the Emperor sees your intentions, he will definitely like you even more. You stinky girl, you're talking nonsense again." Pang Yuan heard this and blushed. Chapter 626. Qiu. When they were about to reach the Jiyu mansion, Shen Yueji suddenly sneezed in midair. The man stared at her with disgust. "Be careful, don't sneeze on my clothes, it's new clothes I just made." Hearing this, Shen Yueji's face darkened. She couldn't help but tease him. "Since I saw you until now, you haven't changed your red clothes. Who knows how many years you've been wearing it?" She snorted and rubbed her nose. "Strange, is someone scolding me behind my back?" Qiu. She couldn't help but sneeze a second time. This time, the man's face completely darkened. But before he could speak, Shen Yueji had already spoken first. She rubbed her nose. "Think first, scold second, and catch a cold third." This sentence is really accurate. Hong Fui. So, you sneezed twice just now because someone was scolding you? Otherwise? Shen Yueji narrowed her eyes dangerously, but no one knew. But the man suddenly laughed when he saw her like this. "What are you laughing at? I think I should know who it is." Shen Yueji. "You guessed it. Hong Fui." The good-looking lips twitched. Mo Wushang should have returned to the palace in the North Sea by now, right? Based on how much he cares about you, the first thing he does when he returns should be to tell the Empress Dowager that he wants to marry you. Isn't he going to deal with those rebels who have rebellious intentions when he goes back? Why is he talking about me? It's important to deal with rebels who have rebellious intentions, but what can be more important than you in his heart? Only when the Empress Dowager acquiesces to your matter will he be at ease to deal with the affairs of the court. I guess it's not long before you marry into the North Sea. Shen Yueji said. He said he wouldn't force me. Marrying someone far away has to be done slowly. Besides, I haven't settled the things here yet, so I haven't thought about marrying someone far away yet. Hong Fui smiled. It's good that you have such thoughts, but I feel that I need to advise you. It's not easy to be the queen of the North Underworld. There are many people suppressing you, especially that imperial consort Pang. She loves Mo Wushang so much that she doesn't even care about her life. If she knows about you, well, judging from your reaction just now, she probably knows everything. Even if you have Mo Wushang to protect you, you won't have a peaceful life after marrying over. That woman is the best at tormenting people. Who is Imperial Consort Pang? Imperial Consort Pang's father is the first grade Grand Tutor of the current dynasty. He was a sworn brother of the late emperor and fought together. After the late emperor passed away, the late emperor handed the Empress Dowager and the young Mo Wushang to the Grand Tutor to take care of. I can say that Mo Wushang and the Empress Dowager have been able to guard the North Underworld for a long time because of Grand Tutor Pang. The Empress Dowager treats Grand Tutor Pang like her own brother. Even Grand Tutor Pang's only daughter is treated like her own daughter. Just based on this relationship, if you really marry him, Will you really be able to please him? Maybe. He suddenly felt like he was watching a good show and smiled. Well, it seems that it's quite lively to put the two of you together. Shun Yueji was too lazy to care about his gloating. Seeing that they had arrived at the Jiyu mansion, she pointed to an inconspicuous cell in front of her. There is an exit on the left. There is no one guarding it. It's a secret room, but go in. The man raised his eyebrows. Is the Jiyu mansion your home? Or did you come here often? You even know about the secret room of the Jiyu mansion? Chapter 627. Shun Yueji only glanced at him indifferently. There are still many things you don't know. Hurry up. While there's no one around, hurry up and go in. Hong Fui didn't say anything more. He placed her at the entrance of the secret room and was about to follow her in. Who would have thought that the woman in front of him would block his way with one hand? Don't go in. This is a private matter between me and Murong Yun. Moreover, she didn't want the man in front of her to know so much. Hong Fui glared at her with a black face. Come on, he carried her to take a risk in broad daylight. In the end, he even locked himself outside and didn't let anyone in. All right, I'll keep watch outside for you. But you have to come out as soon as possible. I suddenly realized that Jiyu Mujue of the Prime Minister's mansion doesn't seem to be a good person. If he finds out, I'm afraid it'll be very troublesome. Shun Yueji replied indifferently and entered the secret room. When she was about to reach the dungeon, she could clearly hear the sound of a conversation below. She quickly stopped in her tracks and found a place to hide herself. In the dungeon, the man's white clothes were spotless. In this dark and damp dungeon, he seemed so out of place. Compared to Jiyu Mujue's indifference like a fairy, Murong Yun, who was once extraordinary and refined, looked much more embarrassed. The clothes on her body were tattered. On her face, without makeup, she looked even more haggard. Her lips were dry and covered with a layer of dry skin. If she moved a little, she would bleed. It seems that every time I see Murong Yun, it should be said that since her rebirth, the change in her view is very strong. As for today, this is the first time she has seen it. How noble and elegant she is, no one knows it better than Shun Yueji, because she never disdains to expose such a scene of herself to people. In the eyes of others, she had never looked embarrassed. But now, at some point in time, she no longer cared about these so-called manners and nobleness. What are you doing here? Are you here to see a dying man like me? Before Jiyu Wei died, he begged me to spare your life. Murong Yun's pale face didn't change. Hearing that, she smiled sarcastically. Spare my life. I'm in this situation today because of him. Does he think he hasn't hurt me enough? Why does he want me to live? Repent. Obviously, you misunderstood his good intentions. He wanted me to tell the truth to the emperor. He wanted me to repent and voluntarily take the poison. It had nothing to do with you. He wanted me to ensure that you would not have to worry about anything for the rest of your life, and that you would be rich and powerful until the moment of your death. These words made Murong Yun fall into a short period of silence, but it was only a short period of silence. Soon, she smiled again. Glory, splendor, wealth, since I was born, I grew up with a golden spoon in my mouth. Although I am not a golden branch or jade leaf, or the daughter of an imperial family, how am I worse than the daughter of an imperial family? When I was young, the talents of the capital crowded around me and fought to please me. It could be said that I had never suffered any grievances. Delicacies from land and sea, what couldn't I have? I've lived a luxurious life for half my life, but I haven't been happy at all. Especially now, I'm even more unhappy. Murong Yun raised her head, as if she was looking at Jiyu Mujue, but also as if she was looking at something through him. It's your father, it's Jiyu Wei. He ruined everything for me. Chapter 628. Initially, I could have lived happily with he for the rest of our lives. We could have had a daughter together. However, everything I had was destroyed by him. I had forced my Qin to die with my own hands. Even he had been dead for so long. I still hold a grudge against him in my heart, thinking that he had betrayed me. In reality, Jiyu Wei was the mastermind behind all of this. Even his death was orchestrated by him. I had already married him, but he was still unwilling to let my he go. Jiyu Mujue, do you think that I will be touched by what you have said for him now? Let me tell you, I won't. I hate him. I wish I could kill him 1,000 times, 10,000 times over. I hate him. I hate him. He had destroyed everything I had. He had destroyed the man I loved the most. He had destroyed my daughter. Now, I have nothing. I have nothing. Jiyu Wei had destroyed everything for you. Didn't you destroy everything for him as well? There is a reason for everything. It's not because he owes you, but because you owe him. Murongyun raised her head abruptly and looked at Jiyu Mujue. She was trying hard to see something. She did not love this adopted son whom she had brought back from outside, but she did not hate him either. He was just a stranger who had nothing to do with her. To put it more accurately, she had never looked at him. She did not even need to care about his daily necessities in the residence. Now that she had taken a closer look, she realized that the man in front of her looked very much like a woman. He looked very much like that deceased friend of hers. You're her child? Mother and Jiyu Wei were engaged. If not for your appearance, Mother would have married Jiyu Wei as she wished. She would have been a good wife and a happy life. It was because of you that my mother's life was ruined. Murongyun stopped talking. Her lips were trembling and her face was pale. That woman, she knew that woman. Although she was not as popular and sought after as she was in the capital, she was still the daughter of a prominent family. Before this, she also knew that the Jiyu family had an engagement with the Mu family. She was just waiting for the right time to marry her. But because of her appearance, Jiyu Wei fell in love with her at first sight. Moreover, with the status of the Murong family in the capital at that time, the Jiyu family was very willing to break off the engagement. Although she would feel sorry for the Liu family, she would agree to let the daughter of the Liu family become a concubine for her. It was Jiyu Wei who was unwilling. He said that he would only marry one woman and would never take a concubine in this life. Because of this decisiveness, he almost broke off relations with his family. As for that woman from the Liu family, because she stole the man she loved, she found someone to teach her a lesson. She was not the kind of person who liked to suffer losses. She would pay back the way she was treated. She remembered that after those men humiliated her, she jumped into the river to commit suicide, but she didn't die. After that, no one knew where she went or what happened after that. Jiyu Wei knew everything about this, including what she had done to that woman. Jiyu Wei had said that as long as she was happy, he would be responsible for whatever she did behind her back. Now that she thought about it, she only felt that it was hilarious. She raised her eyes and looked at Jiyu Mujue again. So, you're the child that woman gave birth to with those men? When these words fell into Jiyu Mujue's ears, it undoubtedly didn't sound like sarcasm. In fact, you already knew all of this, didn't you? So what if I did? So what if I didn't? That's right, so what if I did? So what if I didn't? I brought all of this upon myself. I let China down. I should have died a long time ago. I am not afraid of being cut into pieces. Chapter 630. But she shed tears of regret. How could she face her China? How could she face Ahi? She had let them down. She had let them down. Do you want to die? Don't tell me you don't want to care about Jiyu Muqing. Jiyu Muqing, this second son of hers, was also the child of Jiyu Weisheng. Now that she knew the truth of the past, even the lawless Jiyu Yuyin whom she had doted on since she was a child, she couldn't wait to kill her, let alone this cowardly fool. She suddenly laughed. That's Jiyu Wei's child. It's his. You killed him. You killed him. But after laughing, she burst into tears again. In the past, she had always doted on this brainless son. When she thought about how she could love Jiyu Wei's child so much, she treated her and his daughter so cruelly. Murong-yun suddenly raised her hand and slapped herself harshly. I'm a bastard. I'm an asshole. I'm an asshole. I can't tell right from wrong. I've been blinded by lard for so many years. It's me. It's all my fault. I've let my China down. Shin Yueji felt a little emotional. It wasn't Murong-yun, but Jiyu Muqing. In her impression, her second brother only knew how to smile foolishly. Perhaps fools were the most naive. When he had good food, he would secretly send it to her. He would stupidly pat her head with his muddy hands and say, "Little sister, eat. You won't be hungry once you're full. Big brother loves you." The only person in the family who could give her such warmth was probably Jiyu Muqing. But later, when Jiyu Yuyin found out that Jiyu Muqing had secretly helped her and sent her food, she complained to Murong-yun. Murong-yun had always doted on her second son because of his foolishness. So, she punished herself harshly again. She even ordered people to keep a close eye on Jiyu Muqing, saying that she would lead him astray. Since then, she had never seen him again. She had come here today with the intention of ending things with Murong-yun, but she did not expect to hear some of the truth from back then. She sneered, but suddenly felt that it was funny. In the end, Jiyu Mujua didn't say anything. He looked at her maniacal smile and silently turned to leave. Not long after he left, Shin Yueji stepped into the prison. For her appearance, Murong-yun's eyes flashed with surprise, but she was still laughing, as if she didn't exist. "Mother, are you stupid?" As a mother, Murong-yun suddenly paused. Something flashed across her eyes and disappeared quickly. There was shock, disbelief, and even a hint of fear. She widened her eyes and stared at Shin Yueji. "What did you call me?" "Mother." Shin Yueji smiled sweetly and looked at her. "What? Did mother forget about China so quickly?" "China? China? You're Shina." She suddenly grabbed the cell door with both hands, her face filled with shock and disbelief as she stared at her. "You're my China? No. Impossible. You're Shin Yueji. Are you the eldest daughter of the Shin family? My China is dead. How could you be her? Why are you pretending to be her? Why? You. Yes, Jiyu Yuyin is dead. You forced her to die with your own hands." Chapter 631. But Shin Yueji is also dead. When I was ordered to sink into the lake, the eldest daughter of the Shin family and the others watched me sink into the lake. Someone pushed me into the water with ulterior motives and drowned me alive. As for me, I managed to escape death. I took over her body and came back to life. It sounded unbelievable and unbelievable. Even now, Murong-yun still could not believe it when she heard it from Shin Yueji. "How? How is this possible?" she kept murmuring and shaking her head. "Impossible, this is impossible. How is this possible? Why is it not possible?" Shin Yueji took a step forward and grabbed the cell door. She was just short of holding Jiyu Ruoyun's hand. "Mother, I still remember how you treated me. I dare not forget it. Do you need me to tell you all these things so that you can confirm my identity?" Seeing Murong-yun's gaze fall on her again, Shin Yueji covered her mouth and smiled. "There are many things. Which one should I start from? Was it when you ordered someone to pour boiling water into my mouth because I stole the dog's food? Or was it when you were too tired and fell asleep on the beauty chair? I draped a coat over you and woke you up, so you kicked me? That kind of pain." She slowly touched her chest and was still smiling. Her smile was bright and beautiful, as if she was talking about something she didn't want to do. "Even now, I can still deeply feel the blood flowing up from my throat. I wanted to vomit blood, but you threatened me with an evil tone, telling me to swallow the blood, lest it dirtied your eyes. Mother." Her voice was very light, so light that it was like a feather. It fell into Murong-yun's ears, but at this moment, this light tone was undoubtedly not like a knife, piercing her heart with 1,000 holes. "Mother, do you know the feeling of swallowing fresh blood? It's like swallowing a pot of boiling water. Because there are scars all over that place. One touch and you'll be in excruciating pain." "No. No." Murong-yun covered her ears in pain. When she looked at Shin Yueji again, Her face was already full of tears. She wanted to pounce on her, want to hug her, want to say sorry, she wanted to repent. However, when she saw Shin Yueji like this, she couldn't say anything. After a long time, she could only say one sentence, "Chin I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was really wrong, I've let you down. You want to hit me and scold me, I'll accept it. Chin my poor child, I was really wrong, I was too full of myself, I didn't know right from wrong, I didn't recognize you, So what if I recognized you? Whether I recognize him or not, isn't he still your child? Since mother gave birth to her, why didn't she shoulder the responsibility of being a mother? In the past, I've always been conflicted. We're both your daughters, but why is the treatment so different? But now, there was only one thought lingering in my mind. Since you don't like me, why didn't you strangle me when you gave birth to me? Why do you still want me to live, to make you hate me, to make the entire world dislike me? Chin can you forgive me? I was wrong, I was really wrong. Chin do you know how happy I was when I heard that you were still alive? I don't know how to describe my feelings right now. If you are truly remorseful, then you should return what you have done to me in the past. Otherwise, I will feel that my mother's repentance is so cheap and not worth mentioning. Chin if this is what you want, if I really do this, you can forgive me. I can die. Chapter 633. But Chin I know that I was wrong. I'm willing to bear the consequences of my mistake, but I only hope that you can still call me mother gently like how you used to. Unlike now, when he called her mother coldly and emotionlessly, without the slightest bit of emotion to speak of. She felt terrible when she heard it. She knew that she was the one who had done everything wrong. Her Chin was not to be blamed. Such a gentle title like mother can only be used on someone who deserves it. I'm afraid Madame Murong is not worthy of it. Chin do you really hate me that much? Hate? If I said that I don't hate you, I wouldn't have come here tonight. I could have waited until you were executed 3 days later and I wouldn't have asked anything. However, I don't want you to die so easily. Murong-yoon, you probably don't know how much I hate you. I hate you so much that I don't need to vent and I don't need to be hysterical. I can just look at you calmly without any emotions as I watch you die. Murong-yoon staggered a few steps back with a pale smile on her face. I understand. Therefore, her Chin had risked her life to leave the palace today not to reunite with her, but to watch her die. She slowly reached her hand into her collar and took out a round jade pendant and handed it to Ji Yunshu. Shin Yueji glanced at it but did not reach out to take it. What is this? This is the trump card of the Murong family. After my parents passed away, they gave it to me. With this jade pendant, I can mobilize 100 undead divine soldiers of the Murong family. The undead divine soldiers can fight against thousands of soldiers and horses. I know that you must have other motives for entering the palace this time, but the Empress' power is growing day by day. I don't want you to put yourself in danger. Take this jade pendant. It can bring you out of danger. Chin live well. The person I owe the most in my life is you. I only hope that you can live well and live safely. If there's a next life. In my next life, I hope that Lady Murong and I will have nothing to do with each other anymore. Murong-yoon's heart ached so much that she found it difficult to breathe. Tears streamed down her face as she stared at Shin Yueji's indifferent little face. Suddenly, she smiled. Yes, Chin is right. Me treating you like this is really against my mother. How can I be your mother again? I don't deserve it. Bang, she took a few steps back and suddenly hit her head on the wall of the cell door. In an instant, blood spurted out and quickly dyed her fair forehead red. Her frail body slowly and powerlessly fell down, leaving a long bloody mark on the wall. She held onto the wall with her hand and struggled to turn around to look at her. Even though the young girl was bleeding profusely, she was still as indifferent as before. On the contrary, Her calm face was filled with mockery. A mixture of blood and tears dripped down her face. Murong-yoon stared in Shin-yueji's direction. She had never really looked at this daughter of hers. Ever since she was young, until she died, she had almost forgotten what she looked like. She never thought that today, she would appear in front of her in another person's body. She felt strange and familiar at the same time. But suddenly, she felt much more comforted. Her Qin-er was still alive because her Qin-er was still alive. As long as she was still alive, everything was fine. She and his only flesh and blood was still alive. Even the heavens pitied her and felt that she was unworthy. Was that why they gave her a chance to live again? Chapter 634. Murong-yoon stretched out her hand towards Shin-yueji. Her vision gradually blurred, but she tried to open her eyes. She did not want to close her eyes. She wanted to engrave Shin-yueji's image in her heart forever. This was her daughter. She should have loved her daughter for the rest of her life. She should have engraved her image in her mind for the rest of her life. Her vision blurred again. Even tears and blood were welling up in her eyes. Her eyes were sore and dry, but she was not willing to close them just like that. Shin-er. Shin-er, mother really knew that she was wrong. She was wrong from the beginning. She was completely wrong. From the moment I mistreated you, I have never treated you right. She did not dare to beg for forgiveness. She only hoped that in the future, she would be able to take care of herself and live a worry-free life. She could not protect her anymore. She could not, until her hands slowly drooped down. Until the person who had fallen to the ground was no longer breathing. Just like that, she fell into eternal slumber. 2 streams of tears flowed down Shin-yueji's cheeks. She closed her eyes and forced back the tears in the corner of her eyes. When she opened her eyes again, there were no more tears in them. All that was left was dryness. She walked forward slowly to the door of the cell. The body of the person who had fallen to the ground was still warm. It was obvious that she had died not long ago. She took the round jade pendant from her hand. Shin-yueji's trembling hand touched the woman's bloody face. Why did you do this? She seemed to be talking to her, but at the same time, she seemed to be mumbling to herself. Mother, you and I were originally the closest family in this world. We were supposed to support each other and rely on each other. We were supposed to give up everything for each other. But what exactly happened? Why did we end up like this? Just like how you loathed me in the past because you had your father in your heart, or is it just like how I've gotten over it and no longer have the same obsession with you in the past? She caressed the woman's cheeks. In the past, those things were beyond my reach. But now, when they are within my reach, I don't want them anymore. Perhaps, this is the best ending. From today onwards, we are even. As for the immortal divine weapon, she gripped the jade pendant in her hand tightly. Not long after, the jade pendant turned into a pile of powder in her hand. A gentle breeze blew past and scattered the powder. I can accept anyone's charity, but not yours. Since we're even, why should I ask for your final favor? With that, she indifferently turned around and left. Hong Fui had been waiting for her outside for a while. When he saw her coming out, he frowned and went forward. Why are you inside for so long? If you still don't come out, I won't be able to resist going in to find you. I saw Jiyu Mujue come out from inside just now. I thought he found you. If it wasn't for the fact that it was too quiet inside and there were no sounds of fighting, and even if she was discovered by Jiyu Mujue wouldn't dare to touch her just because of her identity. Why are your eyes so swollen? Are you crying? After talking for a long time, Hong Fui seemed to notice her red and swollen eyes. He circled around her a few times curiously. What a coincidence. Shin-yueji, are you crying? You're crying for someone who has nothing to do with you, someone you can say is your enemy. I suddenly realized that Murong-yoon is quite sad. She's touched by the scene and shed a few tears. What's wrong? Pitiful? There are no pitiful people in this world. If there are pitiful people, it's all their own doing. Murong-yoon did something wrong, so she can't blame anyone else. To me, It's really not pitiful. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.